So, guys, this movie broke me. Like, as someone who is awkward and struggles with communicating with people, I really relate a lot to Kiyotaka. Is that how you say your name? I'll double check later on. But yeah, I can relate a lot to Kiyotaka in the sense of just being awkward and being like a shut in. Because at a point in my life, I actually was a shut in. I shut myself off from friends and family, and I just wanted to be in my room and I would play video games. I'm not really super into art, but I did do a lot of writing and I enjoyed writing. And all I would do is just, like I said, lock myself in my room, play video games, and write stories. That's what I would do. My friends, they'd all want to hang out with me, and I shut myself off, and I don't really have any friends anymore. Relate a lot to the story of Look Back. Oh, also, quick break. If you guys could like the video, if you want to, hit the subscribe. It really helped me out. I'm a small channel trying to grow, and I'm really trying my hardest on these videos. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. It's a short movie. It's only about like 50 minutes long, and it's actually based off a one-shot manga created by the same guy who created Chainsaw Man, Tatsuki Fujimoto. He kind of like, I think he kind of based it off of just, I wouldn't say it's based off a true story, but I guess like similar things that he was feeling when he was becoming a manga artist. You know, like he was, like I said, the story is about an artist, two girls that are artists themselves. He definitely has that experience of like, you know, being lonely and just being obsessive over his work, and that's what the movie pretty much highlights. Also, another thing, before we get into major spoilers of the movie, there's an important event that this movie does tie into. It's not entirely based on what happened in real life. It was even released like on the anniversary of when this actually did happen. So it is kind of like based off of this. But back in 2019, Kyoto Animations, a really big studio in Japan, was actually attacked. It was set on fire by a Japanese man named Shinji Aoba, who claimed that the studio plagiarized his work, and so he just set the whole he set the whole building on fire, and it killed like over 30 people and injured many more. It was a terrible tragedy in Japan. It was awful. A lot of young artists lost their lives, and it was just terrible. It's sad, but this is what like it does tie into the movie a little bit later on that. So it does. There is some real life counterpart to this. I've watched quite a bit of anime in my time. I've watched a lot of anime, and I don't know if any of them really ever stuck with me as much as this one did, because I don't know, man. It's just I don't think this video will be too long because like I said, the movie's only like 50 minutes, and it's wonderful. I enjoy the animation, the characters, the world. This one stuck with me, and it deals with a lot of emotion in just a short period of time. Some of the movies kind of it's not told your traditional story. You know how like it's like, oh, this happened 5 years ago. This is back in 2001. It's nothing like that. It's more events growing up. And yeah, let's just get right into it. We have two main characters, Fujino and Kiyotaka. I'm probably butchering it. I'm sorry. I'm terrible at names. Terrible at Japanese. I'm about to go to Japan and I'm still terrible at this stuff. We have two main characters, Fujino, Fujino and Kiyotaka, right? Fujino she's an artist. I believe they're both artists. They're in middle school. Except Fujino she draws manga, and she's actually in the school newspaper. Makes these little comic strips, right? But they're like little manga strips for Japan. Her work is constantly being shown in the newspaper, and she's just like, oh yeah, I'm not even trying. But she's really proud of her work, and she really enjoys writing. Right. She enjoys drawing. She's really good at it. A teacher actually approaches her and talks to Fujino and tells her, hey, do you think you can let Kiyotaka try out for the next one? And there's this whole thing like, give her a shot because Kiyotaka doesn't even show up to school. We think this could be good for her if she tries. And then Fujino's like, oh, yeah, sure. And so the next issue comes, and it's Kimimoto's manga that's in the school paper. Everyone's blown away by Kiyotaka. Her comics, her art is stunning. Background looks amazing. Fujino is actually jealous about this. She starts to draw more, but Kiyotaka just keeps winning, keeps getting her manga in the school's paper, and this kind of discourages Fujino. Like at first, she's thinking about actually just quitting drawing in general, and she keeps practicing more, even more harder. And she goes to the library and stuff. She starts reading a bunch of books about how to draw better. Hours just drawing, being obsessive about it, to the point where like all her friends are like weirded out about her, that she's just so dedicated to her drawing. And they're just like, don't you want to grow up already? Like, you're gonna be out of middle school, you're gonna be in high school, and you're still obsessed with drawing. That's kiddish. Fujino is like, you know what? I'm never going to be as good as Kiyotaka. She quits. She gives up. Then graduation happens. They're no longer in middle school. He asks Fujino that if she can give the diploma to Kiyotaka, because Kiyotaka still isn't there. First, he's like, no, I don't want to, like, really. But then she ends up going. She goes to her house anyways. She goes to her house and she sees all these books, right? All these sketchbooks and stuff, like with all filled with Kiyotaka's drawings. And Kiyotaka's in her room, but the door's shut. And she makes like a little comic that's kind of cute. But then the comic, she's trying to like, she drops the paper and it flies underneath Kiyotaka's door. So she like looks at it, and so Fujino like freaks out and she runs out the house. But then Kiyotaka actually runs out too, and she traces her down, and it actually encourages her to get out of her room. That's when the characters first meet each other, and Kiyotaka's super awkward and is like, "Oh my gosh, you're my hero, you're my idol, and all this stuff." And she's like, "Can I have your autograph?" And Fujino signs Kiyotaka's shirt. Kiyotaka asks her like, "Why did you stop? Like, what happened? I used to love all your mangas." And then Fujino's like, "Well, I'm actually doing a contest right now." Some time passes and they end up becoming friends. Throughout the whole movie, Fujino and Kiyotaka actually team up to create a manga together, with Kiyotaka focusing on backgrounds and Fujino doing characters, story, that kind of stuff. And actually, they end up living together, and they do make a manga together, and it's like getting traction. They enter a contest, and I think they win runner up. So their work, it's getting noticed. Kiyotaka starts to she wants to step outside the box. She doesn't want to be just constrained of just being known as this background drawer to her friend. She wants to do more. She wants to perfect her drawing. She wants to enroll into a college, a university. And this causes a big fight because Fujino, initially, she is supportive of Kiyotaka, but she also wants her to stay with her, and they would grow together. They're friends. She doesn't want to lose her friend, and it's also part of like being jealous, right? Because they've had like this rivalry, and so they get into a fight. Fujino tells Kiyotaka like, you can't even go outside and talk to people. You're not gonna make it. You're gonna fail and all this stuff. And Kiyotaka is saying like, I want to be a better artist. I need to do this. Just let me do this, please. And so they do. They split up. Kiyotaka goes to her university. Fujino focuses on her manga. And this is when I didn't actually know that the story was created by the same guy who made Chainsaw Man. And then I started seeing the covers of Fujino when she was releasing the mangas. I started noticing the covers, and I was like, this looks a lot like Chainsaw Man covers of the manga. And then I looked that up, and I was like, oh shit, it's actually that explains it. But instead of Chainsaw Man, it's like a shark or something. It's quite funny. Fujino is becoming pretty successful. Her manga is just blowing up, right? It was like at first this, and then it started going boom, 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 like bestseller, right? And now we've gone from them in middle school kids to teenagers to like they're adults now. This is when the tough parts hits. The news comes up, right? She's watching the news, and I don't remember if she's watching it on her phone or like TV, but she gets a notification, right? And they're saying that at this university, a man attacks. He attacked it. He attacked the students and teachers and stuff with a pickaxe. And he killed a bunch of people. And it actually turns out it's the university that Kyomoto is attending. And so Fujino calls. She tries to call Kyomoto, and she gets no answer. So she's trying to figure out what's happening, and she finds out that Kyomoto actually passed away. Like, she was murdered in the building by the pickaxe murderer. And it's terrible. It's really sad. At that moment, I was very sad. I didn't cry, but I was close. No, I don't really cry that much, but it's very heartbreaking. Throughout this time, Fujino, she takes a break, a hiatus from making her manga, and she just has this guilt, this heavy guilt that it's her fault that Kyomoto is dead. Like, if she never got Kyomoto to step outside, then she would be alive. And then there's even a scenario where Fujino goes back to Kyomoto's old house, and she's wishing that she would never got her out, because Kyomoto made it like, I don't think I would ever left, right? She goes to her house, and a little what if scenario actually kind of plays out from this point. If Fujino never met Kyomoto, like, they show you like, oh, Fujino was still going to be successful, Kyomoto was still going to go to the university, but like, when the pickaxe murderer comes and he attacks the university, Fujino actually comes in and saves Kyomoto. He actually saves her, but then it turns out that this was just in Fujino's head, and that Kyomoto is actually dead. It's really depressing. Like, I don't think it really has a happy ending. I don't know if Fujino like recovers from this, but I do know she felt broken, and it was a really tragic ending. And it just shows you how precious life is. Yeah, so I enjoyed this one a lot. I think it was a beautiful story, a beautiful friendship, tragic, and yeah. So thumbs up for me. You guys should check it out. I believe it's on Hulu. That's what No, scratch that. It's on Amazon, Amazon Prime. Check it out. And if you like this one, I broke down another anime that you might want to check out that video. Yeah.